slices, put them in a nice big salad bowl. Remember, you always start with a bigger bowl than you think you're going to need so that you don't have to switch out halfway through your preparation. So we have our heirloom tomato, nice and ripe. It's just oozing. It's so delicious looking. Okay. We're going to mix these tomatoes up. I love to make summer tomato salads with all different tomatoes. And we have such a nice variety here, that won't be a problem. Let's take one of our nice Jersey tomatoes. This is a really meaty tomato. This is a great tomato for BLT as well. And what's better than a BLT with fresh garden lettuce and fresh tomatoes? Okay, so just think bite size, whatever that is to you. Some might be a little bigger than others. We'll also cut up some of the yellow tomatoes for color. Then we'll have beautiful green from our basil, and we'll have the white from the onion, because we're going to put some nice thinly sliced onion in here. Okay, so that's nicely done. Let's take one of the yellow plums. Plums are really great for sauce, but at this time of the year, they're also terrific in a tomato salad. Plum tomatoes are a great thing to buy year-round because when I see them in the grocery store, if it's really not tomato season, they do ripen nicely in your kitchen. So you should always pick up some fresh tomatoes, even if it is January, but get some plum tomatoes or some grape tomatoes, something like that that will really ripen nicely. Okay, so we have yellow, we have red. If you think color, what happens is you give yourself a variety of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients because of the different colors. So it's like Nutrition 101 because you're eating in color. And eating in color not only looks great, since we eat with our eyes, it makes us think it's going to taste even more delicious. Okay, so take some of your onion, not too much onion. We don't want it to overpower the beautiful tomatoes. Back to the chef's knife for the onion. And I'm going to slice this fairly thin. Into the bowl. I also want to salt my tomatoes a little bit so that the juices come out. The salt helps to bring the juices out of the tomato. So a couple pinches of salt. Generous because tomatoes really are good with salt. Some fresh basil leaves from my patio. Tear them up. If you have no fresh basil and you want to use dried, take your dried herbs, rub them between your fingers before you drop them into the bowl. And the warmth of your hands and the oils of your skin will bring out the flavor of those dried herbs. Okay, so lots of fresh basil. You could add cucumbers to this. In Italy, they make a salad called panzanella, which has bread, day-old bread in it. Some freshly ground pepper. Right now, I happen to have white peppercorns in my pepper mill because I thought I wanted a little variety in the kitchen. Vinegar goes in first so that the oil doesn't create a slick where the vinegar runs off the food. So a little vinegar. Once around, extra virgin olive oil, 1.5 times around. Gives us a toss and we'll be all set. I also love to make this salad early in the day. It does not need to be refrigerated. The earlier in the day that I make this salad, the more flavorful the dressing becomes. It gets that really wonderful tomato, basil, onion flavor right into the dressing. And my favorite part of this salad when I'm serving it is to dip my bread in here. I don't even eat the tomatoes sometimes. I let my friends eat the tomatoes and I like to dip my bread into the sauce. The next thing we're going to do is a really quick, delicious tomato soup. So we have fresh plum tomatoes that are chopped. I have some fresh basil again. Blue cheese because we're going to make a gorgonzola crouton, and I have a little bit of tin foil that I've roasted a little head of fresh garlic in. So what we do to roast the garlic is take your garlic, cut off the top, cut off the bottom, put it into the center of the tin foil, drizzle it with olive oil, wrap it up, put it in the oven until it's nice and soft like this. And then what you're going to do is just squeeze it out, and we're going to stir this through the soup as it cooks. So roasting garlic gives it a really sweet flavor. Garlic has variations in the flavor depending on how you cook it. Now what I did here was I sliced some whole grain Italian bread, popped it into my oven. The oven was hot from some of the other dishes that we did. And so it toasted the bread nicely. Now I'm just going to put some gorgonzola cheese on top. Gorgonzola is blue cheese from Italy. And I'm going to pop this back in the oven to melt the gorgonzola. This will top off our roasted garlic tomato soup. We're going to pop this in the oven and we'll start the actual tomato soup. What we want to do is take some extra virgin olive oil, put some in the bottom of this little 4-quart pan, and turn on the heat, of course. You want to make sure that your heat does not lick the sides of the pan, meaning that the heat does not come up around the pan. That's called licking the sides of the pan. So if you were using a large burner and you had a small pan, that would be a concern. So now that the oil is warm, we can add the tomatoes. Okay, we're going to cook our tomatoes down till they're soft, and then we're going to use our stick blender to puree the soup. So this soup cooks in about 10 minutes. That's why you want to get the blue cheese croutons going in the oven. Now I'm going to start to tear up my basil and make sure I have that ready, because when we have a dish that cooks really quick, we want to make sure that we get all of the ingredients ready so that we're not waiting for things to be cut while something else is cooking too long. Okay, so fresh basil, just tear it up, and it's going to get stirred through the soup at the end. So any of the leaves that are large are what you want to cut up. Then what I want to do with my garlic is take a fork and mash it so that it will stir through the soup evenly. Now that our soup has cooked down nicely, it was about 8 or 10 minutes, what we're going to do is take our stick blender or immersion blender, put it right into your pot, and just puree your tomato soup. Just spin it around. This has to be in liquid, so if you have too little liquid in your pan, you're going to need to tip the pan a little bit. And I like things somewhat chunky, so I think I'm just going to stop right about here. Just go around and make sure I have all of the big chunks out. I think texture is always really good in food. All right, now this is going to get washed by just running it under the kitchen faucet. Obviously you can't immerse this in water. All right, now we'll stir our roasted garlic through the soup. Okay, make sure that is well incorporated. Stir the basil through the soup. And that's going to wilt as soon as it gets nice and warm. So let's plate this. We have some nice deep soup bowls. We'll get a nice big portion here. And number 2. This would probably serve 2 as a lunch or an entree, and probably 4 as an appetizer or a first course. Okay, and then some croutons right on top, like so. And it looks pretty if you drizzle just a little bit more of that tomato on top. And there you have it. Tomato and roasted garlic soup with a gorgonzola crouton. Let's take a look at all the dishes that we made today. We have our tomato tart, which was puff pastry with fresh basil, Parmigiano Reggiano, and sliced tomatoes. We have our tomato and onion and fresh basil salad with red wine vinegar and extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper. We have our soup, which was tomatoes and roasted garlic, blue cheese croutons on top. And then we also have our pasta, which was pasta that we had cooked ahead. And our sauce was fresh tomato, onion, fresh basil, pancetta, and fresh Jersey corn, tossed with pasta. And we added a little bit of that pasta cooking liquid just to enrich that sauce a little bit. And then we have our tomato that we roasted and topped with speck, Asiago cheese, and fresh breadcrumbs. I'm Barbara Seelig-Brown. Thanks for watching Stress Free Cooking. Please visit my website, stressfreecooking.com. Happy cooking. I'll see you again soon.
Stress-Free Cooking is brought to you by... From the sunny Mediterranean comes one of the world's finest olive oils for all your cooking needs. Pompeian extra virgin olive oil, classic Mediterranean, and extra light tasting. Pompeian makes everything better. From our table to yours, O-Pee-Chee Wines, fine wines and spirits from around the world since 1913. Cutco, the world's finest cutlery. Melissa's, the freshest ideas in produce. And Sub-Zero Wolf Appliances. Enjoy Barbara Selig Brown's cookbook as she shows you how to make stress-free dishes in the comfort of your own home. Offer made by Stress-Free Cooking for $19.95.